All right, everybody. Good late morning. Hope you guys are doing well. And we've got to have another discussion about the head coaching cycle across the NFL so far this offseason. And I know it's not technically the offseason yet, but for a vast majority of teams, it is. We are one of the two teams that is fortunate enough to not be in the offseason, but for 30 other teams, the offseason has started. And for many of them, it's been going on for a while now. And one thing that happens every offseason is you have head coaching openings and you have people that are hired to fill those openings. So let's uh let's take a look at where we stand right now. Obviously, this is very interesting to Seahawks fans because of the Klint Kubiak situation. I've gone over it many times on this channel. We know that Kubiak has some interest around the league, and this video is just going to be kind of to update where we stand in terms of the Kubiak saga. All right, everybody, before we go any further into the video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about a wonderful app called Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat about sports in real time with other users. You can get all kinds of scores, sports news, and sports alerts with blazing fast speed. And of course, you can play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports with other people in a community. Download the Sleeper app today and remember to use the promo code SBN, that is SBN, for up to $100 match on your first deposit. And they also have a free $20 entry right now, no deposit required. So pair those two up. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. Check out the Sleeper app and have fun with sports this year. All right, so as of me recording this video, as of me sitting here right now recording this video, and I'm recording it very early Tuesday morning, this is where we stand right now. So by the time this video actually gets posted, something might have changed. Although the nice thing here is that we know for a fact that one thing that cannot change is Kubiak getting hired, because Kubiak cannot officially be hired by anybody until after the season is over for him, and his season is not over. He's got the Super Bowl in 12 days. So Klint Kubiak, we don't have to worry about him getting snatched from under our noses right now. That's not to say that he couldn't come to a gentleman's agreement that he would be obligated to honor, but we don't at least have to worry about anything official breaking out. So this is where we stand right now. We had 10 head coach openings this offseason to this point, and 6 of them have been filled already, leaving 4 openings. You've got the Buffalo Bills, who are appealing in the sense that they have a franchise quarterback and they do have other notably good players, but there is some work to be done. You've got the Cleveland Browns, who are extremely undesirable, is so much so that a lot of the top and even mid-level candidates withdrew from consideration for being the Browns head coach. And by the way, they haven't interviewed Kubiak, and neither of the Bills while we're at it. And then you have the Cardinals, and then you have the Raiders. Two situations that are pretty bad, although at least you're starting from kind of a position of zero and can probably get things running correctly again within the next couple of years as long as you do it right, which you cannot necessarily say about Cleveland. But you take a look at this list. First of all, just to talk about where things have changed in recent days. As of right now, the Bills and Browns have not interviewed, and I have not seen anything about them requesting to interview Kubiak. Now, that might change in the next couple of days because Kubiak can interview this week because we have a bye week before the Super Bowl. He's allowed to do interviews right now. He cannot do interviews next week because he has to get ready for the game. So we'll see what happens. I find it interesting that there were no requests to interview Kubiak yesterday, because yesterday would have been a day where teams could have at least put in the request. To my knowledge, anyway, they could have, and we didn't see that. And that goes also for the Cardinals and Raiders, who, to my knowledge, did not request a second interview with Kubiak, because presumably you wouldn't hire a guy based off one interview. You do the first interview, then you do the second interview, then you might make your decision. So, notable, we haven't seen, that I've seen anyway, a second interview request for Kubiak. If we get through today and we don't see that second interview request for Kubiak from any of these teams, it's possible that he's just not jumping off the page the way a head coach needs to, or he did such an incredible job in his interview that they feel like they don't even need to take a second interview at him. That's possible too. But the thing that is really working to our advantage here is that we're still in the playoffs. If we had been eliminated on Sunday, then Kubiak could already be gone. But now teams are in a position where they either have to wait to actually get him or go get somebody else now while they can. And that's a tough spot for teams to be in. They don't like being in limbo. We see this happen sometimes. The Seahawks had to deal with this 2 years ago with McDonald. They had to wait for the Ravens to get eliminated, and had the Ravens not gotten eliminated before the Super Bowl, I wonder if they would have waited until after the Super Bowl to hire McDonald. Maybe they would have just kind of jumped into an agreement with Dan Quinn instead. Who knows? Luckily, we did get that elimination, and we were able to make the hire right after the NFC or the conference championship games. But I do wonder if we would have waited that extra 2 weeks. I think we would have, but I can't guarantee it. So, looking at these four teams, the good thing is I feel like the Browns have had every opportunity to interview with Kubiak if they were into Kubiak, and it seems like that's not really the direction they're looking to go. And I also think that if the Browns showed interest in Kubiak with the way things are going, he would probably say no, because everybody else of any degree of desirability is saying no. Even Grant Udinsky, who is this, I think he's younger than me, um, assistant on the Jaguars coaching staff. He might be the OC, but he doesn't have play calling. He withdrew himself from head coaching consideration in Cleveland, and his resume is much weaker than Kubiak's. And that's no disrespect to Grant Udinsky, but I do think that very clearly Kubiak is more desirable. So if Udinsky is turning down the Browns, then I imagine Kubiak would as well. Now, the Bills did not have the opportunity to interview with Kubiak until now. So we got to give them a little bit of time to see what degree of interest they might have. They might like him, but they just haven't filed the request yet. The Browns, they had their chance and they didn't do it, so that tells me they're not really barking up that tree. Remember, they did interview with Aiden Dirty, so they did request a Seattle coach. They just didn't request this one. All right, so some of the things that happened yesterday on the coaching search. Davis Webb is the name to look out for. And this is basically giving us a little bit of a subplot to follow over the next couple weeks while we're getting ready for the Super Bowl. Davis Webb is a big name, and he could really kind of set the tone for us potentially keeping Kubiak, because the Broncos were eliminated this week. Broncos lost. Davis Webb is the passing game coordinator and quarterback coach under Sean Payton in Denver. He has become a very hot commodity. He is going to be interviewing for head coaching jobs with the Raiders and Bills, or he did actually do those interviews yesterday, and it was his second interview with the Raiders and first with the Bills. So the thing that stands out to me there is that the Bills requested Davis Webb and interviewed with him yesterday. They did not request Kubiak. Now, maybe there's some kind of obscure rule that I don't know about where if the coach is still alive in the postseason, you don't request them the Monday after the game. Maybe they're going to do it later this week. But it is worth noting that they went ahead with the Webb interview, but they did not request Kubiak yet. And the Raiders, I've said this before, the Raiders are supposed to be the team that is hot to trot on Kubiak more than any other team. A lot of people think the Raiders are going to get Kubiak. So if they get Davis Webb instead, that really clears the path for Kubiak potentially returning, in my opinion. And at that point, there would only be 3 openings. One of them would be the Browns, which is a terrible situation. One of them is the Bills, who haven't interviewed with him yet, haven't requested it, as of me recording this, of course. And then you have the Cardinals. That's not a very good situation either, although I do think that it has some appeal. It's pretty brutal to be in that division right now. So Davis Webb is a name. And the nice thing is Davis Webb can be hired at any time and Kubiak cannot. So if Davis Webb gets scooped up in the next few days here, that's going to do a lot of good. And then you also had this yesterday afternoon. Raiders did a second head coaching interview with Joe Brady, the Bills offensive coordinator. With Sean McDermott getting fired in Buffalo, it's possible that a guy like the Bills offensive coordinator might get pushed out as well. So Brady could be coming available, and he's done a good job for the most part in Buffalo. So you could definitely see that happening. If you see a scenario where Joe Brady gets hired by the Raiders and then Davis Webb gets hired by the Bills, then the good appealing spots are really dried up at that point. So that'd be great. And I don't know if the Bills are thinking about promoting Joe Brady to head coach, but that has to at least be a thought in their mind. And by the way, the kind of subplot here with the Bills is a lot of people think they're just going through the motions and are going to hire Brian Daboll at the end of this, which I don't think that would be a very good idea, but it may be the idea they end up using. Would not shock me, and I understand where it comes from at least. So those are the names to look out for. You also have some slightly lesser known guys like this guy on the Rams. And remember, the Rams lost on Sunday, so their guys can now get hired immediately. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this guy, but the Rams passing game coordinator has become a little bit of a commodity. The Bills are interviewing with him as well. Nate, you know what? I'll try it. Shielhaas. I did the best that I could. But anyway, so the Bills are interviewing with him. We also have the Cleveland Browns interviewing with him as well. Interesting. Um, remember what I said about the Browns earlier? They're having a hard time finding coaching candidates that are actually seemingly actually wanting to coach them. They're having a little bit of an issue with it. And a lot of people think that if they can't get somebody from the outside, like Shielhaas, Anthony Lynn, Commanders run game coordinator, Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken apparently are still in the running. They may end up promoting Jim Schwartz, their defensive coordinator. He is a former head coach, but that would be a very strong indicator that Cleveland has realized there's nothing they can do until they run out the clock on the Deshaun Watson contract. So I think that the Browns are not really a concern. Personally, I'm hoping they end up promoting Schwartz. I think that could actually kind of be interesting because he has done a good job with that defense. And if somebody like Shielhaas would get hired by the Bills, that would be kind of cool. A little bit of brain drain for that Buffalo, for that Los Angeles coaching room. Although obviously McVay is the mastermind there. And what else do we have? One other thing to consider. This was made official yesterday. Mike McDaniel is going to be the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers, which is a couple different things. One, it means he's not going to be a head coach this year. So he is not going to be filling any of these voids. Nobody's here is going to hire him because he's already taken. Number two, it also means if we do lose Kubiak, then we are going to be not able to hire McDaniel because he's already off the table. And I think a lot of Seahawks fans would have loved the idea of hiring McDaniel as offensive coordinator. So that has now been removed. And we have to hope that Kubiak sticks at this point. And if you're a Seahawks fan, and even if you're not a big Kubiak guy, I think you have to acknowledge that the best thing we can hope for right now is Kubiak sticking around because of continuity, because of synergy, because of the desire to maintain the process that we have been working on for the last season. So that's where things stand right now. Again, by the time you watch this video, things may have already changed, but the cool thing is, like I said, there are going to be a ton of guys out there that can get hired for these head coaching jobs, and Kubiak is not one of them because he's still in the playoffs. And it's not like there's a bunch of guys on New England that are chomping at the bit to get head coaching jobs, right? Nobody's going to give Josh McDaniels a head coaching opportunity again, right? So, yeah, it's not a bad spot to be in, but we just have to hope these places fill up. One thing to consider is something Adam Schefter said yesterday. Excuse me. Adam Schefter said he was doing an interview on, I think it was NFL Network. I don't have the clip, obviously, but one thing he said was he would not be surprised if all the head coaching open seas, that's not a word, vacancies are closed before Thursday. He actually said he almost indicated that he kind of expects these remaining job openings to go quickly and everything to be settled by Wednesday. And if that happens, then unless there's a handshake deal, Kubiak is safe in Seattle for 2026. And great news by me. I mean, sign me up for that. Okay, so that's all I got right now. Again, things are going to move quickly. By the time you watch this video, it may already be different. By the time this video gets uploaded, it may already be different. But as I stand here, as I sit here right now, this is what we're doing. This is what we got. We just got to get through a couple more teams and Kubiak comes back, which, hey, we're not going to do better than Kubiak this offseason. I'm just going to say that right now. Whatever issues you may have with him, you're not doing better than Kubiak in 2026 if he moves on. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming soon.